Cloudy. It's Cloudy. We're back to the channel. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't check out the last video, make sure you're going to do that. And if you like and enjoy your stay in Cloudyville today, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Today, we got a video from Everything Always. Breaking Marvel Studios' new plan for Thor. Does this have anything to do with that?
Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, when Marvel Studios did the chair reveal, or at least the first part for the cast of Avengers Doomsday, the very first chair they started with was Chris Hemsworth, confirming that he would be back and that Thor Love and Thunder was not Thor's last outing in the MCU, and thank God for that. But now we're hearing a huge update for what Marvel Studios is planning to do with his character in the upcoming Avengers films, this coming from...
Hey, no cap, because, bro, in Endgame, he was like extremely strong, bro. He got the hammer out. I'm not saying the hammer name, bro, because I've been butchering the name for the past few weeks, bro. I'm just not gonna do it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then he got the axe. You know what I'm saying? Then he got the axe as well. So, and then you seen it looked like he's just more powerful in general, you know. So I would expect to see him do a little bit more fighting and a little bit more showing off the thunder power and all that. You know what I mean? Especially now that Loki is gone, I would think that would kind of give him a reason to start like tripping out on people like, yo, where my brother at?
Industry insiders, we're going to talk about what they revealed, what Marvel's reported plan is for Thor over the next two Avengers films, and what that would mean for the future of the character and a possible Thor 5 we've heard about in the rumor mill for the last 2 years. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. Thanks to everyone who's been subscribing lately. I would just kindly invite you to do so if you haven't already. It's the number one thing you can do to support us here at the channel, plus it enters you for the giveaways if you want. Stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this reveal actually originates with the editor-in-chief over at the Cosmic Circus. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll be familiar with their editorial. It's the same one that Alex Perez writes for. If you're not, they have a proven track record and have been pretty ubiquitous in the Marvel scoop game for the better part of 3 or 4 years. And again, they do this segment called Question and Answer, and their editor-in-chief, Lizzie Hill, said this in the last one, quote, "From what we've heard, Thor will reunite with Loki at some point during these films, and he'll essentially be one of the last OG Avengers remaining. Our friend, Alex Perez, did hear a rumor that Marvel wanted to give Chris Hemsworth Thor a proper send-off in these movies in an epic way, with sources pointing to New Avengers Volume 3, number 32 as the inspiration. Although it could be the end of Chris Hemsworth Thor at the very moment, that doesn't exclude the possibility of the character's return, as he's also been told that the Thor core as well as other parts of Thor's mythology from the comics will be adapted for Secret Wars and beyond." Okay, so there's actually quite a lot of detail here to unpack, and I want to talk about this again in context of the Avengers movies.
I'm thinking he gonna go after Loki, bro. There's no way in hell he finna just let Loki sit there by himself and hold pretty much the whole world together. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he's gonna go after Loki, and it's probably gonna be because Dr. Doom is gonna go after him. Because if Loki is holding all the vines and stuff, just imagine how powerful he really is as of right now, like what he can do to help push Dr. Doom's plan, you know. So I'm pretty sure there is going to be a race to Loki, and I'm pretty sure Thor is going to be one of those people going to be in that race. You know what I'm saying? At least that's what I'm thinking.
And what she talks about, the possibility going forward in a Thor 5, what they're referencing in the New Avengers Volume 3, number 32, and taken directly from the synopsis is, quote, "Thor and Hyperion resolve to die together in battle, but as Thor tries to lift his hammer, he finds he is unable to. He realizes that he is no longer unworthy and laughs as he will now be able to die, knowing he reclaimed his worthiness. After vowing to race each other to Valhalla, the two throw themselves at the Beyonders and die." Okay, so look, obviously the whole worthy-unworthy arc, that might not exactly apply, but it is a pretty epic send-off as Thor knows he's going into battle to die and he's basically willing to do it. Now, the whole thing here, though, is that if he ascends to Valhalla, there are some specific characters that we expect to return, like Jane Foster's Mighty Thor. In the comics, after she gets to Valhalla, she comes back as a Valkyrie. So him going to Valhalla is not sort of an
I forgot about Jane. What? I was just crazy. I was just talking about the movie too. I forgot that after she lost her Thor power, she like died, right? The power of Thor was what was keeping her alive. You know what I'm saying? So I guess are they saying if Thor passes away, she gets to come back or something? Like that'd be crazy. So if he dies, somebody get resurrected
in Avengers Doomsday, and that's what they're alluding to about there being a future in Secret Wars and then beyond.
Hey, hold on. I want to know because from Thor Love and Thunder, you know what I'm saying? They showed, I believe this was Zeus, and then they showed a bunch of other gods sitting in that little area, bro. Are they ever gonna pop up in the movies, bro?
Him going to Valhalla is not sort of an end stop, even if
y'all
he has
remember
an
this
epic
scene? Y'all remember this? Wait, was it this
death
one?
in Avengers Doomsday? And
Yeah. When it was like all the guys from like pretty much everywhere, I guess, you know what I'm saying, that all came to sit and talk with Zeus, because apparently Zeus is the top dog, you know, of all gods, for real, you know what I'm saying? So I wonder if any of these guys going to pop up at all. You know what I'm saying? I really want to know, are they going to pop up at all, bro? I feel like they were shown for a reason. You know what I mean?
that's what they're alluding
Hopefully
to about
some
there
of
being a
them
future
come
in
out, you know what
Secret
I'm saying,
Wars
do
and
some
then
crazy
beyond.
stuff.
Of course, the Thor core would be part of the story if they draw from the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run.
Wait, what
and
was
then
that? Did he
beyond.
see
Of course, the
eyes?
Thor core, that's what they're alluding to about there being a future in Secret Wars and
My
then
bad. I'm
beyond. Of
trying
course,
not
the
to
Thor
miss
core
nothing.
would
That
be
was an
part of the
animal
story
the
if
whole
they draw
time,
from the
bro. I didn't
2015
realize
Jonathan Hickman run. And I'm just most excited for them to possibly eventually get to Beta Ray Bill, as I've been asking for pretty much since his channel's existed over the last get to Beta Ray Bill, as I've been asking for pretty much since his channel's existed over the last 7 years. But I think the real
like Chris
takeaway here
Hemsworth,
is that
man.
an
He's a
epic
great
send-off
actor,
or
especially
death
when it
in
comes to
Doomsday
comedy,
isn't
action type
necessarily
stuff.
the final stop for Chris Hemsworth's Thor. Now, I've been saying,
That's
and
where
for
he
quite
at,
some
bro.
time,
That's
if
him.
there is anybody left in the MCU right now that started basically in the beginning, like Thor, this is your off-ramp. Avengers Secret Wars, you get your glorified send-off death. This is your chance to leave the MCU. But we've heard just too much about Thor 5. Chris Hemsworth in interviews has said he's willing to do it. George Miller has been rumored to be...
what if Thor 5 is the movie right before Secret Wars, to kind of show Thor's perspective going to race Loki, you know, not to race Loki, but going to go get Loki, being in that race, you know what I'm saying? What if that's what Thor 5 was meant to be? You know, but I forgot when they said Thor 5 was they were thinking about when it was gonna come out. I think they were saying after the Avengers movies will come out. But I do feel like there's a few movies they can make before Secret Wars come out to kind of show perspectives from other heroes.
Number one choice
and
to
Thor
do
should
that.
be one of them.
I don't see him walking away from this role, and
especially
just yet.
Now he got all that power, bro.
And to be totally honest, I think we basically got a definitive update from Marvel about how they feel about rebooting characters. So for all of the news that we've heard about them possibly rebooting the MCU after Secret Wars and then recasting characters we don't have anymore, like Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, Brad Weinderbaum, the vice president, and who I consider very clearly to be the number one guy who would become Marvel Studios president if Kevin Feige were ever to step away from the role, has said definitively that reboots don't work, and
I'm thinking the Russo brothers is probably, that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But he said, oh boy, okay.
I consider very clearly to be the number one guy who would become Marvel Studios president if Kevin Feige were ever to step away from the role, has said definitively that reboots don't work, and he directly referenced in this interview from earlier this year or late last year.
No, we're not finna just let. Sometimes reboots work. Sometimes
over at DC in the comics, when they tried to do that hard reboot, it never worked. That's his take, his critique on rebooting the MCU. And so for someone like Chris Hemsworth, who's still relatively young and could play Thor going forward, we're about to have the X-Men. We're about to have the Fantastic Four. Now, more than ever, is the most exciting time going forward. And so I do anticipate, death or not, in either of these films, we're going to see a Thor 5 somewhere down the road. And I also think that even though some actors may choose to use this as their off-ramp, and I'm calling for a couple, say like Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, we sort of know he dies in the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run anyway. We've talked about that a lot at the channel, but there are actors I do think might take this off-ramp, but Chris Hemsworth isn't one of them. And so, death or not, I think we get Thor 5 coming up in the Mutant Saga, and we will get to see the future of Thor. Now, whether or not he sort of ascends to Thor Allfather, and there's another Thor behind him, or someone else takes his place like Beta Ray Bill, or they decide to feature Hercules, who may never be seen again after Thor Love and Thunder, that's yet to be seen, because Hercules was a member of the Avengers as well. There's still some really cool teams they could do for Beta Ray Bill, like the Annihilators.
See, bro, this is why I feel like I gotta go see the comic, bro. I'm just not, you know what I'm saying, bro. Hercules was a part of the Avengers at some point, bro. See, this is what I'm saying, bro. I feel like, bro, because remember there was an Avengers team with Odin and the like the first Black Panther in them. You know, they were one of the first Avengers. And I was like, bro, I kind of want to see the things they went through. I feel like they probably was getting busy back then. You know what I'm saying? I want to see what Odin was like back in his day. You know, And now I'm hearing Hercules was a part of an Avengers team at some point too, bro. Bro, how many people was a part of the Avengers? How many different Avenger teams were there? Were they? Were there? How many teams did they have, bro?
Hope
It's
that
so
they were
many
building
characters,
to at the
bro.
end of Guardians of the Galaxy, but we'll have to see where, if ever, that goes anywhere. You guys let
The
me know all
Avengers
your
G
thoughts, though,
League
down
team.
below. How you feel about a Thor 5 and Chris Hemsworth sticking around, and what
That's
are
what we
you
gonna call it,
anticipating
bro.
for Avengers Doomsday when they're talking about all of these deaths, and Anthony Mackie saying that no one's expendable, and it ends in a cliffhanger, and
Yeah, but
now
Anthony
you hear
Mackie
Marvel
said that.
Studios wants to do something
I'm
like
thinking
New
everybody
Avengers
finna die,
32,
bro.
where Thor sacrifices
Except for
himself.
Spider-Man.
Sounds pretty nuts. I'm all ears as
the
always.
youngest.
Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Okay, we're still giving away PS5s at the channel, and we're about to.
All right, man. Hey, y'all go check out his PS5 giveaways. I know some people out there still ain't got one, you know what I'm saying? He hooked you up, so go check him out. You know what I'm saying? Go check him out. But how y'all feel about this plan, man? Y'all think they should make a Thor 5? Y'all think they should just smash Thor's story inside the Avengers movies?